In this video, I'm going to show you how to address an envelope so that you can mail a letter. The first thing that you're going to need to know is there are three sections of the envelope that we're going to have to look at. The first part is the delivery address, and that's this big section right here in the middle of the envelope, and it's pretty much usually the largest printed portion of the envelope. That's where you put the name of the person that you are sending the letter to, as well as their address. In the top left-hand corner, this is called the return address, and this is usually you usually write this fairly small, and this is where you put your name and your address, so who the letter is from. And that kind of serves as two functions. When the person gets the letter, they can look in the top left corner and find out who that letter is from before even opening it. And the second function of the return address is, let's say that the postal worker takes the letter to this address, but there's nobody at that address that goes by that particular name. Maybe that person has moved, or maybe that address was written wrong and it just doesn't exist. Then what the postal worker will do is send the letter back to the return address right here. That way, one of these two people, either the person you intended the letter for or you, will definitely get the letter. And the last portion of the letter that you need to, or the envelope that you need to look at, is in the top right corner, and that is where you will always affix your postage stamp. So let's now look at an example of how you go about addressing an envelope. And it doesn't matter which part of the envelope you address first. I'm going to make up the name of a person I'm writing this letter to. And let's say I'm writing this to John Smith, not the guy from Jamestown, but a make-believe character. And let's say that John Smith lives at 307 North Adams Street. And I knew that that was his address, but notice that I put some abbreviations here. For north, I just used an N, and for street, I used ST. In this little abbreviations chart, they put a period after ST, but you don't have to. Some people even capitalize S and T. It really doesn't matter. But you use these abbreviations just because these are universally or commonly shared abbreviations that everybody uses for addressing a letter. If somebody lives in an apartment, right here would go the address of the apartment complex, and then on the very next line, you would put APT, this little pound sign, and then the apartment number that they live in. If you were addressing this to a business, you would put you'd put the person's name, and then you put the business name right underneath of it. And then you'd put the business address, and then let's say that business has a suite. That just means it has lots of offices in the business. You'd put STE, the pound sign, and then the suite number on the very next line. But for most people who are just living at a house, you're going to put the person's name, their street address, and then the next line will be their city. So let's say that this person lives in Minneapolis. So you put the city name, a comma, the postal abbreviation for the state. So Minneapolis is in Minnesota, which would be MN. And then after that, you're going to put the zip code. And let's say this zip code is 55111. The zip code will always be 5 digits. And the zip code is basically just a number that corresponds with that particular city, and it's a way for the post office to sort the letters in a more efficient manner to get everything delivered where it needs to go. Sometimes you will see a dash after these 5 digits. There'll be a dash right here and then 4 more digits. So that's called a zip plus 4, and that's something that was invented more recently, but it's something that just gives an even more specific location for your particular street address in that city. So notice when I'm done addressing the envelope, the delivery address, I want pretty much it to be fairly large in this section of the envelope. The middle section toward the right, all of that section really needs to be taken up by the address. It can go all the way down within a centimeter or two of the bottom of the envelope, but you don't want to go all the way very down to the bottom, because usually when the mail service feeds this through their machines, it'll actually put a little barcode along the bottom of your envelope, and you want to give space for that barcode. And the next thing that you need to do is put the return address. And I'm going again just going to make up a name here. Let's say this is from Susan Johnson. And notice I'm writing this a little bit smaller because the return address, we really pretty much only want it to be this section of the envelope. And let's say her address is 2217 South Wilson Place. Place is not on this little chart, but place is abbreviated PL. So 2217 South Wilson Place, I did abbreviate South. And let's say that Susan Johnson is from Tulsa, Oklahoma. We'll put a comma in between Tulsa and Oklahoma. The postal abbreviation for Oklahoma is capital OK. And then her zip code is 74137. The next thing you need to do is affix your stamp to the top right corner. And for a first-class letter is just a regular letter that you mail. It only takes one stamp to mail that anywhere in the United States. And a first-class letter will generally, if you could fit about 4 to 5 pages of regular paper into a letter for one stamp, if you try to squeeze any more than that in, the letter is going to end up being too thick and weighing too much, and they'll charge you more than one stamp to mail that letter. And then the last thing that you need to do is either put this in your mailbox and put the flag up, or take it to a post office and either drop it off in one of their large boxes, or you can take it inside and a postal employee will help you get that mailed. You can purchase stamps there, or you could just hand them the letter. They will put it on their scale to make sure that it qualifies for the first degree postage, and they'll tell you how much it costs. And you can either purchase a stamp directly from them, or you can just give them money and they will print out a little sticker that they will put here in place of a stamp.